everyone, and welcome to the House of Royale. We are doing a recap on the Super Bowl with a celebrity superstar icon, and I will explain all of that in a minute. For now, for episode 30, make sure you guys celebrate with us by subscribing and liking and sharing and all of the things. There is a Patreon for House of Royale. If you guys give us $10,000 today, I'll give Jen 5. So let's make it happen.
Yes, I need to. Jesus.
The mantra is...
Didn't even know about this, but yeah, sign me up.
Yeah. I get paid to exist. I get paid to exist. That's the mantra.
I love that mantra for you.
Thank you. You guys, today I have a gorgeous, amazing, super hot, but like she's also like a genius professor and like teaches at universities and like Ivy League colleges and shit. Super smart. So do not be fooled by her face or her boobs.
They're under wraps today.
She has her master's in psychology and criminology, so she's going to explain to me why I dated all of my exes because I'm still confused. She's also one of the top comedians in Los Angeles right now. Make sure you guys go see her live. Please welcome the amazing Jenn Sterger. Oh, there will be sound effects.
We've been trying to get this podcast done for like 2 weeks now. It just doesn't, like, your health is bad, my health is bad.
Yeah.
And then the Super Bowl kind of like came, and then we both went, I have Super Bowl stories.
Yes, I have chills right now. It's divine timing. Like nothing is a mistake. Like everything happens for a reason, for sure. And I'm so glad we waited until after the Super Bowl because this is like your expertise. Like this is your area of expertise.
I don't know if it's my area of expertise. It's definitely something I talk about in therapy a lot. But
You're like, I know everything about sports, but I can't talk about it anymore because the world is insane.
Yeah, I mean, well, I used to work in sports, until sports tried to work at me. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I still to this day, like, I still love sports. I just think I have a different perspective than most people just because I saw how ugly it is from the inside. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's kind of like when you see something shiny on the out, you just never know what's actually going on behind the scenes until you experience it for yourself.
Like every man. So, yeah. No, I had a cousin on the Niners and he had to quit eventually because he had over the legal amount of concussions.
Oh.
And that's definitely still something that needs to be worked on is like the brain of an athlete is constantly getting bashed in.
100%.
And it's like,
it's that. And it's also just at the end of the day, the NFL is a business, and unfortunately, the players are just commodities to them, like they aren't people necessarily. And so, like, especially with the whole conversation around CTE and things like that, like I fully support the players and all their demands around CTE because I don't think that there is enough safety precautions. And I just see some of the choices that they make and some of the things that happen once their career is over and they don't know how to cope with that.
Yes.
Like I think there is something to be said about the traumatic brain injuries that they sustain over and over and over again while playing this game.
Yeah. I think we need to come up with people over 40 or like 50. Like I'm a singer, you guys. And by the time you're 25, your career is over, But I think we're moving into the era of like getting rid of ageism. But what I would like to do for every category, like, because cheerleaders have to quit, dancers have to quit, singers have to quit, like, why don't we just do world tours for like older women and like football players can like we just create something for them to do after the glory days are over. Like, don't you think?
I'm sure you got this too, being a singer. Like, I don't know how supportive your like family was of your choices to like be in entertainment and pursue the arts. But like mine were always like, they still ask me like, when are you going to get a real job? And I'm like, my bank account says my job is very real.
Right.
Like, I know you don't understand it. I know it's not like a traditional job. Like they so desperately wanted me to be like a lawyer, which is why I had a criminology psychology background.
Wow.
Like I still, even in college, was like trying to make my parents happy.
Yeah.
And then by fluke chance, I got discovered at a football game, very a la Pamela Anderson, you know? And I was like, if I don't take this chance, like if I don't take this chance on myself and just run with it, like I'm never going to know what I was capable of. But it's also, looking back on it now, it's kind of a catch-22 because I got discovered during the early 2000s. And if you've watched any documentary about, you know, like Brittany Murphy or any of the Britney Spears documentaries that are out there, you're just like, I don't know how women from the early were popular in the early 2000s or the mid 2000s. Like, if you escaped with even a shred of your mental health, you're winning, because so many of us like didn't make it out.
Yeah. Well, and not to mention, we are just right now at the beginning of women taking their power back from the Y2K era. I interview a lot of female
and
singers.
Our eyebrows, Jesus.
Right, our eyebrows too. And when it comes to dating, it's so crazy because I just experienced dating an older white man. And
I'm
like
sorry.
the way that they are so judgmental about like, oh, I feel like every time we talk, you're bringing up something that women went through. And it's like, we're still in this era of like men not really being able to like understand or relate. Like they think it's like some crazy story that we've made up, or like, where's the proof? Like
you know, there's just something about, I think we were talking about this before we turned all of the cameras and stuff on, but like, I won't date a guy now unless he can show me like 2 years worth of receipts for therapy.
Yes.
Because like, honestly, I don't think they know themselves well enough to know whether or not there's something wrong with them, you know?
Oh
and
God.
You're a product of your environment. You're a product of the way your parents raised you. And I think this is something that a lot of women deal with. It's like men's relationships with their moms versus women's relationships with like their moms are totally different experiences,
Yes.
you know? Because anyone that's ever had a mom, they'll be like, oh, my mom looked at me and was like, fuck, competition.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
versus like, I think men with their moms, they're like very
Adored.
much like, oh my God, he's going to be the next president. It's like, no, he's not. He's going to work at Jiffy Lube. But like,
yes,
it's fine. It's
absolutely.
fine.
For sure. I feel like Gen Z boys are almost so much better at like having conversations with us about this stuff because they grew up in this era of like self-help and self-awareness and like TikTok, and like younger guys are just like, yeah, of course you're traumatized. Like, so am I. Like, you know, where older men are just like, you know, pull up the bootstraps and like, be a soldier. It's like, that's so toxic and disgusting. And I'm so glad it's finally over.
But we're definitely, I think we're making
No, I mean the relationship. Yeah.
I didn't realize we were working through this in real time.
I'm sorry. It just happened.
No, but we've all had those type of relationships. I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but like, I just recently went through a divorce, and there was a moment in my divorce where I realized I had done a great job not marrying my dad, but I had done an amazing job marrying my mother.
Oh, wow.
And it was like this time where like my husband like was picking a, like we were fighting about something, and he like threw a tantrum, and it was almost like a child. And I literally went, oh, hi, Mom, like in my brain. And I was like, nothing will kill your sex in your marriage faster than realizing you married your mother.
Amen. Straight up.
But I think that's one of my girlfriends told me, you know, you go through this like progression in life where you're like, you fall in love with your dad, you know, like you meet your dad, then you meet your mom, and then you meet yourself, and like in your partners.
Yes.
And like once you've met yourself, like you're ready to confront your own crap, and like you'll be ready for your next like real relationship at that point, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think also in the era of podcasting, I think like a lot of us are open books, and we're just like, we're not in denial about our shit. Like,
no, you can't be.
No. And like women are so good at being like self-deprecating and pointing out our flaws, like the shit that we have to work on, you know? So it is true in saying that like we need the man to meet us where we are at as well.
Oh yeah, for
being
sure.
Self-aware.
The other thing is, it's like, I don't know, and it may just be an LA thing, but where are you from?
The Bay Area.
The Bay Area. Oh, duh.
Yeah.
You're having a rough morning. Yeah. What you're saying.
Yeah. No, I mean, I still love the Niners. I'll always be a Niner fan. It's in my blood, and we'll get into that story, which is so crazy because when I did Sarah Halstead's podcast,
yes,
it was so weird that her and I like connected on that and like went so deep into the Niner shit. And then she's the one that introduced me to you.
So kismet. It
Yeah,
really is.
full
But
circle.
yeah, I when I worked in sports, I worked for I got my first job with Sports Illustrated. Then I went and I worked for a little bit for ABC ESPN, and then I went and I worked for the Jets, like the actual team, and did like in stadium stuff for them. And I was getting to go to like all these Super Bowl parties and stuff like that. And some of the stuff you see there, like you just can't even wrap your brain around it, because I've told some of those stories to other people, like just in passing, and they're just like, your life was not normal. You know that, right? There's nothing normal about your experiences. And the minute you were like, well, I have stories about the 49ers. And I go, oddly enough, one of my favorite Super Bowl stories is about Joe Montana.
Okay, so let's get into that. Let's just really quickly to give you guys an overview. Like, my mother choreographed the halftime shows at Candlestick Park, which was amazing. We had 3 dance studios in Mountain View, like with over 2,000 students. But our company kids, we had 60 kids on the team. So the team kids were constantly on the field. Like, we were always doing halftime shows. Yeah. Which it's like a crazy thing.
I wondered where all those kids came from.
When
you like run out onto the field and you have to like do the little dance. Yeah.
It was mainly Sue. She was the choreographer. Homestead Productions. Lori Murphy still is with. Shout out Lori Murphy. Have me sing the national anthem. Like, hit me up. So there was a TV show, and Joe Montana's wife and Ronnie Lott's wife were the stars. And my name was Jordan, and my grandfather was Bill Walsh. And it was a full-blown TV show. Pat Morita was like the guy that would do like the learning lesson segment, like the Lifetime segment.
What kind of TV show was this?
It was like a Barney and Friends, but it was called The Adventures of Kangarati.
How much acid did you all take to come up with this? I still don't understand the concept. So what was the concept of the show? Like,
okay, so George Chung, who is still like producing random projects.
And forgive me if I sound ignorant. I just need more details.
Oh my God. No, he probably was on shrooms. There was a kangaroo who was like a total like jujitsu, like karate guy.
Because they all are, yes.
Yeah. And he would like, teach us lessons through karate, kangarati.
Kangarati. Oh, someone... that meeting to come up with that name, someone was so proud of themselves when they're like, but what if?
I can't. So it was like a full-blown 49er NFL collab. And, I had no idea. I was like 10 and just like had no idea like who these people were, like what a big deal it was. But yeah, that like the 49ers are in my blood. My mom was a Gold Rush cheerleader. Like my Aunt Patty was a Gold Rush cheerleader, and her son Jeff Ulbrich.
How did you escape the cheerleading gene?
Because when you grow up in a dance studio, like professionally trained dancers almost look down on cheer. So I always viewed cheer as like for the girls that weren't able to dance.
Like they're the ones that have to count out loud the whole time.
Which now I don't feel that way at all, because I want to be a cheerleader right now. Like, you guys are so cool and I love all the cheer movies, so don't come for me. Yeah, so and then shout out to Jeff Ulbrich. He's now coaching for the Jets.
Okay. But yeah, one of my favorite Super Bowl stories was I was at a party. I think this was when the Super Bowl was in Arizona. So this would have been like 2008. It was either then or I think it was in 2008. Yeah. By the way, that year's a blur for me because I actually ended up watching the game that year from a hospital in Marina Del Rey because I got meningitis.
Oh, shit.
But I would not let them like do my spinal tap to find out if it was viral or bacterial until the end of the game. I was like, I have to watch this last drive. They're like, you could die. And I was like,
dedicated.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the year the Giants won. But and it was like a huge thing. That was the dedication. That was my level of sports fandom. Like I truly loved football. Like football was my first love and then baseball, But so that year I was in Arizona for all the parties, like the pre-parties. I like helped host the Maxim party that year. And there was like another party that I went to. I don't remember which one it was, but I ended up running into or or seeing these players, you know, out and about in their natural habitat. And there was this young girl, and she was like trying to like wiggle her way in, like next to all of these like big time players. And I'll never forget, she said to this one guy, "My daddy says you're famous."
Oh God.
And the disdain on this man's face. Anyways, it was Joe Montana. And I was just
wow.
like, he was just like, I can't. I cannot with this. So I have massive respect for him. But
You
I was
know
also
what?
like,
We love you, Joe. Good job, Joe. Thank you, Joe.
fending it off, being one of the good ones.
Yes. We need to talk about the Super Bowl. Speaking of men, I would like to talk about Usher first.
Okay.
Because Usher, I love you. You were amazing. You were sweating. You were singing. You were dancing. Your vocals are always on point.
And
I don't know.
roller skating.
And oh my, the roller skating. Okay. Thank you for coming with the fire. Thank you for being a true professional. It was incredible. It was amazing.
Have you seen his Vegas show?
No.
I was curious how much of that, like, there was overlap in that, but I mean, there wasn't a single song that came on that I think millennials and elder millennials or whatever they're calling us, that we didn't like stand up and you're like, let me have this moment. Let me have this moment. I know all of the words. Basically anything from Confessions. We were just like, this is it. No one talk. No one talked during this halftime show.
Right. Yeah. Every song is a hit record.
It brought me back to college, but that's aging myself, you know?
Straight up. Alicia Keys, Little John, who I've met before, and his energy is still just so amazing. He loves to put on a show. We love you, Little John. Ludacris, you're so hot. I've met you in real life. Your face is so beautiful. I love you. I would totally fuck you. You guys were all just so good. And it did feel super Vegas-y.
It did.
You're right.
It did. And like I loved all the different dancing elements that they put into it. I'm sure as a dancer you were like, yes.
Oh yeah.
This is a performance. Did you happen to catch the girl that was pole dancing and then fell?
I didn't see the fall, but like shout out to my pole dancers, you guys.
It's so much harder than it looks.
Yeah.
I've just had so many friends take classes and I'm just like, absolutely not. I just can't. Yeah, no. I bruise too easily, so I can't do that to my inner thighs.
I just bought the spray pole grip, and that helps a lot because you don't have to use so much of your upper body. You can just like put your legs around the pole and stay up there.
What? It's a spray grip?
Yeah.
Pause.
Super amazing.
This is insane. I don't understand how any of this works. I'm like, teach me your ways.
Yes. No. Okay. So my girl Jordan, who does my hair,
in thigh high boots.
yeah. So we're gonna start doing pole more often because it's such a killer workout, you guys. But you can spray your hands and the inside of your thighs. And so you just like put your hands around the pole and like climb up there and then put your legs around and you just like stick. You stay up there and you can like go upside down and like move around the pole. Like it helps you stay up there.
I think I'd be too scared to hurt myself and then have to explain how I hurt myself at the emergency room.
I'm sure they're used
like
to.
I just the amount of shame that I would feel in having to explain how I hurt myself. Do you know what I mean?
In LA,
I leave that to the professionals. That's what I'm saying.
I think every nurse has dealt with stripper injuries at this point in LA. Okay, like they're used to it.
Like, we found these ones when you changed out of your clothes.
They're like, yeah, my daughter strips. It's fine. I know how to handle this. It's OnlyFans or stripping.
I go with the website just because I feel like I need that space.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I feel like I'm way better at setting a boundary because I'm a people pleaser in person. And so in electronic communication, I'm much bolder.
Yeah, okay.
Or I'll be like, no.
Yeah.
You know, whereas in person, it's like, I don't know. I think every hot girl's nervous system is just so wired for fight or flight that a lot of us have been taught, oh, you have to be nice. You have to be nice so that they're not like, oh, well, all pretty girls are bitches, you know? And so a lot of times we allow things to happen to ourselves and in our lives that like we probably wouldn't have allowed to happen if we didn't have that good girl programming going on, you know?
Yep, I agree for sure. Absolutely. And like, shout out to all of to bring it back to the Super Bowl, shout out to all of the wives who are married to these NFL players. Like, I'm sure they have, not only do you guys have PTSD watching these games, but like every time your husband is gone, like, is he faithful? I don't know. Like, what is your opinion on that?
Someone who was married to a professional athlete, I think it all depends on the man. And I think that it comes down to, does he require outside validation specifically from women?
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
That's what I think determines whether or not guys are faithful, because it doesn't necessarily have to be even physical cheating. It's, do they need women to tell them constantly how amazing they are?
Yep. Yeah.
Tell me you have mommy issues without telling me you have mommy issues.
Well,
that kind of thing.
Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy. Hold on, let me Sharon Stone this shit real quick.
I love that you move and it's just it sounds like you're folding a raincoat in your lap. Just she has a tarp down. I don't know what she thinks is gonna happen today, but you guys can't see it.
Well, my libido's finally back.
Congratulations. That makes one of us.
I'm sorry. Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy says that they all cheat. So look, I know you guys don't. I don't want to give you guys a bad name, but I think it would be really difficult to trust, especially like one of the top teams, like the top 10 teams, and they're traveling and they go to these parties. And I think there are a lot of hot women.
Yeah.
That are around, that are available. And I think it would be difficult for them to keep their dick in their pants because they're constantly, like, pussy is just raining down upon them.
Yeah. But I also think that there's something about, like, to be said, like, about the women that are aware that they're married and doing this. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Where that's just, for me, it's a girl code kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Ariana Grande. Anyway. Yes, and man. So
break up SpongeBob's marriage. So weird. What a flex.
Right, yeah. Okay, back to the Super Bowl. Who were you rooting for, if anyone at all, and who would you like to see at the Super Bowl in the future?
I was rooting for...
You can say it. It's fine.
Taylor Swift. Okay, so here's the thing. I very much, I don't know. I have some thoughts about this whole Taylor situation, but
yes,
I was rooting for the Chiefs just because I have friends that, like, that's their team, you know. So I had to pick a side. Like, I was a Tampa fan. Like, we had our moment, you know, when we had Tom Brady, and so like I didn't really have like a dog in this fight, you know. But the Taylor Swift NFL experiment is so interesting to me.
Experiment.
It is. Listen, and I know people are like, oh, conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. I think the NFL saw an opportunity and they embraced it.
Yeah.
Because listen, the NFL has been trying to court female fans for the longest time. And they had not figured out how to do it because they kept being like, let's give them pink jerseys. We don't want pink jerseys. We don't need bedazzled jerseys. I mean, that's lovely and it's a lot of fun. And I like that it's the original colors, but we don't need any of that.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't change the fact that you have players that have beat women in elevators. It doesn't change the fact that there are people being arrested for domestic violence. Like, it doesn't change any of that. And so while Swifties have come in and embraced the game of football all of a sudden and learned a ton about football and spiked all of the profit sharing for the merchandise and things like that, because they have really changed, they've really affected the economic status of the NFL for the better. I'm just saying, with that kind of power comes responsibility. And I wish that Swift's fans could educate themselves a little bit about how women are treated around this game and maybe flip the script. And maybe we start making the NFL be accountable. Yeah. I truly believe her fans can do that.
Yes. No, agreed. Okay. The Swifties have been trained since day one to come after whatever man wrongs Taylor. Like Scooter Braun, the Grammys.
We're coming for you, Roger Goodell. It's gonna happen.
You heard it here first. I mean, that's what they're trained to do. Like, they are attack dogs. They are. And even with Spotify, like, Taylor has taken down some of the biggest names in the music industry. And I think that she has just begun. Like, she's a congresswoman. She should run for president, frankly, in my opinion. Like, I'm not bumping her jams in my car, but like, she's amazing. Like, she has the strength and the power to really change the world.
Yeah. And she's kind of going. So I actually went to her concert at SoFi.
Amazing.
I went to one of her concerts at SoFi. Someone offered me last minute tickets at face value, and I was like, I can't say no to this.
Yeah.
And it was hands down one of the greatest concert experience I've ever been to. Like, I didn't consider myself a Swiftie, but I definitely was a fan of her music.
Yeah.
Especially the last album, you know?
Yeah.
Because it just hit me in all my feels while I was going through my divorce. So going to Taylor Swift was like my divorce present to myself.
Amazing.
And I just feel like watching her dance is kind of like watching your friend that just embraces her cringe. You know what I mean? And you root for her because you're like, she's the shy one that like kind of hangs in the corner and is like, no, don't look at me. But then like all of a sudden starts doing like the stripper moves on the chair. Like the girl that gets called out of the crowd that's like super shy at Thunder from Down Under or like Chippendales or Magic Mike. Like that is the energy that she brings to some of her numbers, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, no,
So
I hear
for
you.
it.
Absolutely. And her lyrics are just so for the girls. It's so for the women. It's so to like just change the narrative for women.
Because you hear every one of those songs, you're like, oh, I've been through that.
Yeah,
I've been through that too.
for sure.
Also that.
Yeah. I mean, I watched the Nikki Glaser podcast, and Nikki, I think, has like purchased a home with how much money she has spent. Like, I think she's been to like 20 Eras concerts.
Insane.
Yeah.
That's so insane. I
Like-
mean, I would totally do it again.
Yeah. Well, Nikki, take Jen. Because like Nikki's taking her mom, her friends, like she'll just like give
I'll
people.
go.
Yeah.
Sign me
like,
up.
Tell her she'll take you.
I'm in.
She's
I'm totally in.
obsessed with Taylor.
Oh, and then you dress up. I mean, it's an experience.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
I think Nikki was on one of the pre-shows. She was like a commentator for the Super Bowl.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, she couldn't believe it. She got the hookup from one of her homies.
Huh.
Taylor Swift is amazing. I don't know. People were predicting that Travis was going to propose to her if they won, and we didn't see the proposal. Honestly, it's way too early.
We did see her get the ick. Did you see that? When Travis
No.
was on stage
Oh my.
and he starts singing and they went to her in the crowd, it was just like I was like, oh no, because every girl's seen that face. Like every girl knows that face where you're like, the man that you've been letting be inside you does something so cringe in public that you're like,
You're so right. I
don't know if I can keep doing this with this person.
Period. Literally, no, you're right. And I know that feeling so well. It's been of like
is the worst, especially if it happens with a good guy where you're just like, I like you. You were very nice, but there was something that just made me go, ugh, we can't do this anymore.
or is it good guy syndrome? We don't know Travis yet.
Maybe.
We're gonna find out who the fuck he is now, because Taylor Swift always brings the truth to the surface, honey.
Oh yeah.
And Travis is going to.
There's definitely going to be a track on the next album, not the one that she just released the playlist for, but like the next track list is going to definitely have one called Overtime. And it's going to be about how she probably stayed in this relationship much longer than she should have. That's the only thing I can see her brain like making the connection for that or something like that. I don't know.
Oh my God. Please write that song, Taylor. And I'm so exhausted from that feeling.
From the ick.
Yeah, like I'll just visualize myself just barfing. And so, yes, I did see the look on her face. But with Travis, it's like Travis was like, okay, like I'm in the media. Everyone's expecting me to like make it a moment. And I think that was just all he could think of. Like, you know, I think he just was like, I know I need to like come with the fire right
That
now.
just shows me when someone's gotten somewhere or gotten to a level of fame that they don't understand how to handle a moment yet.
Totally.
Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Where you're like, oh, we could have media trained this. We could have like said what not to do. You know what I mean? But also, if your girlfriend's a really good singer, like maybe don't do that.
Oh my
God! It's kind of like the Ben Affleck J-Lo commercial yesterday. Did you see that one?
I did. When the three, Jason Bateman and him,
They all go into the
Matt Damon,
yeah, Tom Brady. They all go into like the recording booth, dressed in the Dunkin' Donuts like onesies.
Yeah.
I feel like that commercial made J-Lo so relatable. She's like, we've talked about this. What are you doing? Like, we've all been there when like, stop it. You're embarrassing me.
Yeah, it is embarrassing. Yeah, Travis should have brought Taylor up by his side and he should have done like an endearing speech.
I think she did not go up there on purpose to not take away from the moment.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that was what that was. And I respect it. I kind of respect that she hung back. I also respect that she hung back when he came to hug his mom and she let them have their moment first. You know what I mean? Like the fact that she could have made more moments about her and didn't, I think it says like, oh, it's real for her. You know, whether or not it's real for the men that she's with sometimes, I think that's a tough one. I think anyone that's ever had any kind of celebrity relationship, not that I'm a celebrity, but like there are people where I've been with where I'm like, I think you are in love with the version of me that is not real.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
like you projected onto this what you thought I was. Mm-hmm. And now you're getting the real version of me. And like, she's flawed and she, has been in therapy for 30 years. Like, but she's working on herself always. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think that it's a hard pedestal to like sit on, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's classic. At first they're like, oh, I want like the hot girl on my arm.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but you need to learn who I am. That's always a problem. But I mean, it's just the hype, you know? It's a whirlwind. It's the hype. And also I would like to say that was a long fucking game. Like that was a long ass game. Yeah. And it wasn't like the Chiefs were like killing it.
And I love that none of us knew what the rules were of overtime anymore. We're like, how does this work again?
Right?
Or is this the bad overtime rules or the good overtime rules? Because it's like I always used to get that and college football mixed up, and I think that they've kind of gotten a little better now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, everyone was like, what are the rules again? And I think that the announcers could have done a better job explaining it, but I think Tony Romo was probably drunk in the booth. So there were just things where like they'd cut to commercial and he'd be singing along with it, and I'm like, does he know his mic is hot?
Right.
Like,
yes. I also heard before they cut away, did she pass away? Oh, okay, thank you. Oh yeah. That's going to be on Twitter.
No.
Yeah. I don't know who passed away, but yeah, so I'm just saying like the Niners were the ones who were killing it. And then the Chiefs came back with some random like hopscotch player, whatever the fuck they were calling it. Like the
annexation of Puerto Rico. It's Little Giants reference. It's not.
Yeah.
Not an actual football play, I don't think.
Yeah, it was a Mahomes play that he created and they did it right at the end. And then like
it's called corn dog, extra ketchup and mustard.
There you go.
That's the name of it.
Yes. Yeah. It was corn dog and Hardman caught the ball and everyone's like, who the fuck is this kid? Like it was just such a random way to win. And like, I didn't have a heart on anymore. I was like, this is like not hot. I'm not into it. And then everyone's like, okay, I guess let's blow the confetti. And so then if I were Taylor, I would be like, I don't even want to be a part of this because it's such it's such a weird ending, you know?
The shots of the 49ers players while just the confetti is raining down on them and they're just staring down at the ground like... These are literally our colors. Like this should have been us. You know what I mean?
It was so sad. They were so sad. And the amount of people, I think it's because everyone is literally on antidepressants and like Adderall and Vyvanse or whatever the fuck you guys are on. But like all the players on the sidelines were literally like just staring into the abyss, like so tired and so checked the fuck out.
They were beat. Like the defenses worked so hard. Like they were just beat.
Tired.
Yeah, they spent way too much time on the field.
Yes. Yeah, it was crazy to see because usually when you see players on the sidelines, they're like looking all crazy and shit. And like, you know, it was just the amount of like their souls were sucked out of their bodies.
They're like, we got to get these commercials in, kids. These games don't pay for themselves.
Right? Yeah.
Jesus had a couple commercials. That was interesting.
What happened?
Jesus.
I'm like,
you didn't
who?
see the Jesus commercial? Who? Our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He had a commercial.
Is he single?
I was just trying to I was just trying to like figure out like what this ad was for.
What was it?
Well, it was just everyone was like getting their feet washed by somebody. And I was like, this is not like,
wait,
you know
was this
who
an ad
enjoyed
for
this?
OnlyFans?
Exactly. Like, you know who enjoyed this? People who pay for pictures of feet.
Yes.
Like, they're like, this is the best Super Bowl commercial that has ever existed.
I don't remember seeing that commercial.
Oh, look it up. Jesus had a Super Bowl commercial.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, let's do a review of the commercials really quick. I don't even really remember. There was Oh my God, shout out to Brandon Sammons, who is a music producer, and Brandon has given me like two of my best songs. One of them was like submitted to be voted on for a Grammy.
Amazing.
But he's been working with that guy, that actor Jeremy that got ran over by a snowplow.
Oh, Jeremy Renner?
Yes.
The guy that got ran over by a slope. You know, he's done some things. You're like, yeah. But
did you see his commercial?
What?
His Super Bowl commercial.
I didn't watch all of them. I didn't see all of them.
It was playing over and over and over again.
Which one was it?
It just really like gave me PTSD. No offense, Jeremy, but
Which one was it?
he was just being a dad,
Oh,
which is now triggering.
I gotta take this shit to therapy, girlfriend.
Oh, I will. Please believe. Kimber is like ready for my phone call.
Kimber, that's the name of your therapist?
Oh, yeah.
Kimber is not a therapist's name. Kimber sounds like your most chaotic friend of all time. That's going to be like, you know what? Your feelings are totally valid and you should slash his tires. That's a Kimber, okay?
So Jeremy is like in the kitchen and he's like singing a cappella and like he does a riff. And I'm like, I know that you're singing now because you're in the studio with my friend Brandon Sammons, Jeremy. Like he just released an album.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like seeing friends make it. I like seeing friends and extensions of my friends like start getting the attention that they deserve.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've never been one of those people that when my friends start killing it, like I get weird.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't know. I've just always been from the mindset of when my friends start killing it, like, oh, that means our time is coming.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's just an expansive moment for me to be like, oh, we're going to lift up together.
Yeah.
You know?
But that only if they are still nice to you and still speak to you, because some people get famous and they're like, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are.
No, that happens.
And
but that's when I caution people and I go, hey, the same people you ignore on the way up are the people you're going to see on the way down.
Yep.
So be careful how you treat people.
Amen, girl. Yeah, there are two females who I love. You guys know I'm obsessed with you. I love you so much. But they both just are like, I don't know who you are anymore. And I'm like, that's really hysterical, you know? And whatever. Like, I'm sure they're all going through their own emotional bullshit because the music industry is super fucked up. But like,
I don't think there's an industry out here that isn't though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially for women, just because it's been bred into us that we are competition.
Mm-hmm.
It's been bred into us that there's not enough space for all of us.
Yeah.
And there totally is.
Yep, there is. And it's women like us who are like all about community and all about bringing the girlies together. Cause like I'm obsessed with it. I love bringing girls together. I'm like,
100%.
please, like it makes me feel so much better about life. But like even the other day I was at Air One with my girl Jordan and we saw this singer who's like blowing up. And I was like, oh my God, I totally know you. You're doing an amazing, like, I love your music, like, good job. And she was like, oh my God, what's your name? You know, and she was really nice to me or whatever. But like the DM not getting responded to, it's just an immediate indication that like you don't want me in your circle, you know?
It depends because there are like times where, I mean, do you guys follow each other? Like, do you guys DM? Do you guys know each other like that?
No.
Oh.
I just met her.
Oh, so it's like a random.
And she like suggested that I
DM her.
Yeah.
Oh, but there's So, but there's folders that like DMs get like sent off
Right.
into the abyss. And so like I will see DMs that people sent me and I'll be like, oh man, that was a good opportunity, but it ended up in my DMs. And so now the opportunity's passed, but you just don't see it because it goes to like the void. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't take
Yeah.
that personally. But if you really want to be in contact with someone, get an email. If phone number feels too personal, get an email. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
find a way to stay in contact that doesn't rely on social media algorithms and filters and stuff.
Yes, for sure. Also shout out to Jessie Mae Peluso, who has DM'd me like 14 times to schedule a
Oh,
podcast, but like it has still not happened. So I am holding you to this
I
publicly.
adore her. She seems so fun. Like I don't know her personally, but I feel like we'd be good friends.
Yeah. Okay. So like Jen and I are gonna do your podcast. Let's just do 3 girls, 1 cup.
I charge extra for that.
What? Anything else about the Super Bowl?
No, not really. Just I covered everything I wanted to. The ick, how Swifties can change the NFL. Joe Montana. Yeah, no, I'm good.
Let's get into your life, Jen. I want the girlies to be inspired by you because there's so much amazing high octane shit happening in your life
Oh.
while simultaneously you're dealing with a crazy situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone that's been through any kind of amount of stress, like the stress it takes on your body, like I try not to focus on it. I really do. Like I try to push through. And I think that's a coping mechanism is like having to stay busy. Like LA kind of breeds in you that when you come out here, if you're not constantly busy, then you don't matter. Like your worth is like how busy you are. And I am spending 2024 very much trying to reprogram that and being like, whatever I get done today, I get done. And my worth is not dictated by that because some days you'll be super productive and then other days it's like you just want to clear your schedule and like go to the beach and just turn off your cell phone. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to balance it all. Like that's like my thing for this year is like putting myself back in balance because last year between going through my divorce and I committed to comedy full time where I was like I'm going to be a comedy teacher. Like I mentor I mentor other women and I help them write and I help them channel their stories into, you know, and their pain into something artistic, you know what I mean? And something that brings other people joy because I know if it weren't for comedy, I might not be here. You know, like I might not be here because I think I spent most of 2023 just like dealing with crazy stuff. Like I said, leaving my marriage, leaving my day job into just doing comedy full time. Like I was like, this is the year that I bet on myself. Like that's what 2023 was. You know, I sold my house that I shared with my husband. I completely uprooted my life and it was so scary, but there was something about once everything started happening and once the marriage completely fell off and like we stopped speaking to one another and it was like it was a very clean break. Once I made that decision that I was okay to go it alone, it's like my life just kind of fell together. You know what I mean? It didn't fall apart like I thought it was going to. Like it fell apart, but it fell into something so much nicer and so much more aligned with what I want. You know what I mean? Where I was making the choices that I wanted and not being held down by like another person sabotaging themselves, you know? So that was the same way I felt when I left my day job. Like I left my day job on great terms. I learned so much with the people that I worked with. I was doing like cannabis marketing and sales like that for like high-end cannabis companies. And I got to work with a really well-known like celebrity businesswoman. And she taught me so much about life and about work-life balance and like how to build an empire because this woman, like especially in the early 2000s, like she was it, you know? And so it was like a masterclass in business and marketing from her, you know, that I basically took that skill set and was like, okay, I can apply this to comedy now. I can apply this to what I actually want to do that like lights me up. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's so much to be said for surrendering. Absolutely. I feel like when we surrender and we are just present, that's when the doors open. And that's like the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, you have to know when to step on the gas and when to like ease off.
Yeah.
And because that ease off sometimes is actually more magnetic than going full throttle at something, because it's almost like you strangle it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I know I can get like that sometimes with my comedy, where like I want to be perfect and I want to get on stage and I want to nail this and I want to nail this. And then this year I'm just kind of embracing like the mess.
Yeah.
Like letting things not be perfect. Like, don't let perfection be the enemy of good.
Right.
You know what I mean? And going out and just finding the fun again, because I don't want the fact that I've made it my full-time career to be the thing that strangles what brings me joy about it.
Right. Absolutely. I want to talk about what you said on Instagram, because it hit me so hard, because it's so true to my experience of just life in general. Because I've always dealt with autoimmune issues and thyroid problems and like chronic fatigue and just every throat problem you can imagine. Like, I had to quit drinking because I'm allergic to alcohol. Like, that's what we think.
Yeah.
You know, like everything affects my body. I'm just so sensitive, and everything affects my throat and my immune system. And so I have had no choice throughout the years but to be in bed.
Yeah.
A lot. And it is so devastating for someone like me, who's like severe ADHD, Capricorn, goal oriented, like obsessed with achieving, and like definitely being having like toxic like my self-worth is dictated by whatever my resume says, or like wherever I'm at. And I just like had to start telling myself, you know, if you had gone on a world tour, would you even have physically been able to deal with it? And the answer is no for me. And it's just like understanding that my path is different. And now it took me to this point where I'm creating and building a community with women, which is what I've wanted the whole time anyway. So it's just kind of like beautiful the way that the more I surrendered and like calmed down and like kind of eased into my issues, it was like, well, but like the universe is gonna plant other things for you. Just trust.
Yeah. And I think it's hard in those moments when your body is not cooperating. If you have any kind of chronic illness or autoimmune stuff, like so many of us do. And especially when you don't have a diagnosis, because I think when you have a diagnosis, you're like, okay, this is what's wrong. But I honestly challenge that, and I go, I don't really care what the diagnosis is. I just want my life back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, I know I want the validation that, hey, it's not in my head, because that's something that like anyone with chronic illness has been told at some point, is maybe it's just anxiety. And I'm like, anxiety is my baseline. Like, I know what anxiety feels like. This is an anxiety. Trust me. And so even though like I've had some rough moments with my health and stuff, like as of late, I honestly, like, I cried in relief that they were like, oh, there is something wrong and this isn't in your head. Just like when I told doctors for 5 years, hey, I think one of my implants is ruptured. And I had 3 doctors in LA go, I just think you're vain.
Wow.
And then I finally had a doctor see me for something unrelated. And he goes, I want to get an MRI of those.
Yeah.
Because he goes, something's not right. And he sent me to get an MRI, and sure enough, one of them was very ruptured. It had busted out of its shell. Like, it was breaking the capsule. Like,
oh my God.
I had toxic stuff leaking into my body. You know what I mean? And so causing constant inflammation. But again, being told for 5 years that, hey, you're just a perfectionist and you're vain, like, get over it.
Yeah. Wow.
It just made me go, this is why they call this medical arts and not science. Because I'm like, and all it took was a test. It just took some imaging. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just got an MRI because I was like really getting paranoid and nervous, and kind of wanted some answers too because of my symptoms.
Yeah.
But like everything came back normal, but I'm still kind of you kind of just know in your gut if something isn't right. And I'm still kind of feeling weird about it. So yeah.
But I think the important thing is that when your body's telling you there's something wrong with it, to listen.
Yep.
And whether or not it's caused by anxiety or it's caused by actual issues, whatever, your body's still asking for like love and to be respected, and for its limits to be respected, and be like, I'm not okay right now.
Yeah.
And it's okay to not be okay right now, you know? And when you have to do that, take yourself off social media, take a break, plug into something that brings you joy, because watching other people on social media live a version of their life, you don't know what's going on in their life. They're presenting to you the best version humanly possible. I just felt like recently, because of everything that I'd gone through and the fact that I was canceling shows because of it, and things like that, like I just felt like I needed to be more transparent. And I think that transparency and being authentic online is so important.
Yeah.
Just because everyone else is out there pretending.
Yeah.
And I think if we shine a light on it, it kind of deletes the stigma. We've already done that with mental health. Like, we should really do this with chronic illness.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's invisible and people don't know.
Amen. Absolutely. Sound off in the comments. What disease do you have? What are you dying from? We want to hear all about it. Yeah, no, I mean, I started this show because I lost my mom to suicide. And I have always been super public about it because she was such a powerful force and like changed so many lives. And it's like, it's always like the person that you would never think. And like, that's another reason why it's so important for us to be talking about this shit. And like, for all the men out there, it's not that we want to constantly be bringing it up all the time. It's just we're actively trying to heal from our shit. And we're also actively trying to help others heal from it as well by having the conversation.
I think about this all the time. Like, guys really don't have the conversations with their guy friends that women have with their girlfriends about this type of stuff. And we have to start making it okay for men to talk about mental health and for men to talk about anxiety and things like that and depression. Because I don't think that there's ever been a space where they've felt safe to do that, because so many of them were raised with the rub some dirt on it, you're fine. And they think that just showing any kind of emotion makes them weak, and it's or makes them, not a man. And no, it's just, you can suffer too. I think they just suffer silently, whereas women, we tend to like build community. Yeah. And I think it's way easier for women to ask for help than it is for men to ask for help sometimes. And also, I just don't think that they know that there's a problem sometimes. They don't know that they're the problem.
Jesus God Christ. Speaking of which, you're a woman in the comedy space, which is like still extremely male dominated.
Yeah, I really like to pick male dominated fields.
So have you dealt with a lot of like misogyny and just weird energy from men when you book shows? Are you usually the only girl?
I actually think the industry's doing better about that right now. Cool. I do. I think bookers are a lot more cognizant of it right now. And as far as like misogyny and stuff go, there's going to be that everywhere. But I think a lot of it has to do with the boundaries that we set. And I think for so long, I felt like I had to be that 8-year-old, like, good little girl, you know what I mean? Where I had to be nice to everyone. And I think that allowed, like, that was just making me, I was like chumming for predators. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like when I was putting out that energy and I was not setting boundaries with people as strongly as I should have, it allowed so many more of those characters in. I don't do that anymore. I'm actually like kind of abrasive about it. And if someone wants to call me a bitch, so be it. Yeah. But I also am like, I'm not going to keep allowing you to keep harming little me because she doesn't want this attention. She doesn't need to make you happy. She doesn't need to compromise herself so that you get what you want from this situation. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think in any male dominated industry, it is so important for women to have really strong boundaries, in terms of the behaviors they're willing to accept. And there's ways you can handle it without being a complete bitch. Like, I think one of my favorite tactics I like to use, and when girls ask me, like, men always make inappropriate jokes around me. And I'm like, okay, well, when that happens, what I love to do is I'm like, I don't get it. Explain it to me. And when you make them break down how gross something was that they just said to you, or how sexually inappropriate it was, and you're like, I don't get it. Yeah. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? I put the onus back on them. Yeah. And when they I have no problem doing that now. And I have no problem calling out trolls. And some of my friends are like, why do you waste your time? And I've said, because I truly believe some people just don't know. They don't know how toxic their behavior is and how much that they are able to impact you, like when they're in your DMs and like telling you terrible things or leaving nasty comments on your page. Because as much as I'd like to be like, fuck them, I don't care, that's not the case. And I know I'm not the only person that feels that way. So I've straight up asked trolls before. I'm like, what makes you go on someone's page that you've never met and leave a gnarly comment like that? I'm like, this isn't a personal attack. I go, this is legit for research purposes. I would love to know. And some of them come back and they go, you know what? I did it because I'm hurting.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's a really powerful moment when you make someone ask themselves. I was like, literally ask yourself why you did that on my page. And they were like, you're right, Jen, you didn't deserve it. I've actually had trolls come back and apologize on my page for stuff they've said to me.
Yeah.
Because I just changed their thinking around it for a second.
Right.
And then there's other people that you say that same thing to, and they're like, cause you're hot. And then they just proceed to like hit on you while also negging you. And you're like, you're an unhealed person and I can't waste my energy on this.
Okay, but the flip side of that, because sometimes I will think to myself, if I had to be in a room with Andrew Schultz, I don't know if I would be able to hang. Like there are certain male comics and their energy is so effing fierce that I'm just like, I don't even know if I would have the comebacks and the one-liners for this motherfucker. Like,
oh, you mean just in like, you know what? I don't think that's true at all. I don't. Like, I very rarely get in a room with someone where I'm intimidated or that I am scared of them or I feel like I am not their equal. Because I think when you are involved in any kind of scandal with somebody and you meet somebody that was like a hero to so many other people and they're a toxic piece of crap to you, you're like, oh, we're just people.
Yeah.
We're all just people. And I've just never... I think that's the one thing that's kept me super grounded, like through all the different jobs I've had and all the different celebrities that I've met. I'm just like, yeah, they're people.
Yeah.
Like I'm never starstruck.
Right.
Ever. And it's kind of sad. And people are like, well, I'm sad for you that you don't have heroes. And I'm like, no, I'll just be my own.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, I think Whitney Cummings is my hero, but that's only because I have studied how she holds her own around men like that. And I'm like, damn.
But like also give your heroes grace to like be imperfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be imperfect.
But that's why I love Whitney, because she's like, here's all of the things that are fucked up with me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to literally dissect it for you guys so that you guys, like, if you are dealing with the same shit, like, she literally does not care that everyone thinks she's crazy and on drugs. Like, she'll admit it. And I don't know. I think that we're just still up against this, like, invisible wall of, like, the patriarchy. And like, I know it's getting better. I know it is, but I feel so much more comfortable that I'm running my own little bubble here. Yeah. Like this show is mine. Like there's no male engineer or producer helping me.
No, there isn't.
Because I don't want that.
This is just ragtag. It's you with the buttons in your lap.
Straight up.
On patent leather boots. Like this is a woman-run business.
It is, because I promised my audience that I was going to stop. I was literally going to start working with women only. Like that was a promise to myself, because it's so fucking hard to do. Yeah. Like, where are all the female producers and engineers? So, okay, Jen, I'm going to leave it to you. Just give us like an ending message for all the women. What do you want the women to leave with today?
I want women to know that they have agency over their lives. I think so many of us play small to keep people around us comfortable, and at the same time we almost short sell ourselves, like, and our gifts, by not being our fullest versions of ourselves. There's nothing wrong with saying no. There's nothing wrong with having boundaries, and if it makes you a bitch, so be it. But at least you are honoring yourself and you're standing up for yourself and you are taking care of like little you.
Yes.
You're taking care of like the little girl that didn't get to do that type of stuff. Like as women, I want us to embrace that. Like I want us to lift each other up. I want us to not view each other as competition and understand that there's enough food at the table for us all to eat.
Yes, I know that's right.
And now I'm hungry.
And enough. Okay, so tell everyone what is happening right now? Like, what do you want people to watch?
I've got some big comedy news coming up that I'm not allowed to talk about just yet. That's not like an industry thing, like it's real. But please follow me on Instagram at Jennifer Sterger. Follow me on Facebook, TikTok. I don't know.
The website.
All of the things. Yeah, website. If there's like dudes listening to this that just want to see my new boobs, they're on there too.
Please.
But listen, I got cats to feed, so let's keep it 100.
Yeah, just give us 10 grand and
we'll split it.
Yeah, we'll split it. I love you guys so much. Do something today that makes you happy. Give yourself a hug. Follow Jen. We love you, Jennifer. You're amazing.
It was a blast. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming, and we will see you guys next time. Mwah.